Hello, Antonio. I have your father's watches here. It's a real treat. I see a lot of 6105s. It's rare for me to see a family watch. Most of the time, I'm seeing watches that were found by a family member or in a thrift store or something where they've lost their history. So it's rare for me to see one with history, much less two. So that's fun. Anyway, let's talk about the movements first. This is 6105 8000 from April 1968. It was based on the dial condition and the case back and the sort of the history that I knew of it. I was not expecting to see a bright and shiny movement. But I saw a bright and shiny movement, and what I was also surprised about was to see that it was running. And not only was it running pretty sprightly, which is kind of amazing for a watch in this general condition. So, but one of the clues that I see is that I'll talk about the cosmetics on the dial, but clearly someone's been inside this watch, and it wasn't terribly long ago, relatively speaking. The watch feels a little gluey. The mainspring's not bad. The movement looks relatively clean, and the numbers are surprisingly good. I mean, 218 with zero, look at that, no beat error. So somebody was in here who knew what they were doing. It was a while ago. I don't really see a lot of lubrication inside the watch, but it's not dirty. But they knew how to adjust a watch. Yeah, it's gaining a ton of time, but no beat error, not a bit. So I would imagine they did some good work in there. I'm going to look to see if there's any notes. Jewelers put marks inside watches to say that they've been there, but mostly those marks are meaningless to other people who aren't the people who put those notes there. But I guess long story short, it's good stuff. That's really good. Okay. So there's really not much else to say. I don't see anything mechanically or physically problematic with the watch. The movement looks okay. The case is dirty. The dial has issues. We'll talk about cosmetics in just a minute, but let's move to the next watch. Okay, now this one, it stopped running. This one did look like I was expecting. It's fully wound up. I can't get it to move. It runs barely, just barely. It does not want to run. It's just sort of wiggling. You can see we got Starry Night going on here. It's not really running. It's ticking, but it's not actually running. We've got, you say your dad was a diver, commercial welder. I can see that there's corrosion on the winding weight. The rest of the movement looks okay. And the real canary in the coal mine when I open a movement is the movement ring spring is not corroded, so that's good. So the seal's held for the most part, which is good. The mainspring feels super gluey, so I'm assuming this one has not been worked on recently. I don't see anything really gnarly going on. Sorry about my hands, by the way. I made a cake for my daughter's birthday this weekend, and that's food coloring from where food coloring splashed on me from doing the frosting. Yeah, I mean, it's look at the play. So this is going to need the remediation. This is going to need the fix on the lower arbor port because that's just super floppy. That's not good. That's not good at all. Poor thing. Poor thing. Okay, well let's get this done. Hang on. Okay, here's my handy dandy holder. You know, life should be easier sometimes. But sometimes life isn't easy, and that's just the way that it goes. Okay, so we've got two watches, two 6105s. And get decent light in here. I'm still working on making this better.